Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining the channel today. I'm Dane, your host. Hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourselves. Today is episode 18 in my mini-series called Back to Back, the greatest album pairs of all time. And today I'm adding yet another episode to the original 20 that I had planned. So about 4 or 5 episodes ago, I said that I was adding one because I realized that there were 2 albums I had to talk about, so that it went up to 21. Well, guess what? It's now up to 22 because of today's episode is an additional one. And I'm going to be talking about a band that I already mentioned in this series, and that is the band Queen. They have another album pair that I was like, oh, I got to talk about this one. This has to be in the list. It definitely qualifies. So talking about Queen, their debut, and then Queen 2. So if you're new to the channel or new to the series, let me talk about what, in my estimation, are the qualifications to be considered the greatest album pairs of all time. 1, they must be back-to-back in the discography, somewhere in that discography. 2, they must complement one another. They must be companion albums. The second one must pick up where the previous one left off in some fashion or in more than one way. Hopefully more than one way. Could have been a double album, and both must be seminal works. Now, I said in a previous episode or 2 that you can consider these album pairs the peak of the band's peak, but this is an exception to that because I don't think these 2 are the band at their peak anyway, but they definitely count as one of the greatest album pairs of all time. So let's jump into the debut, Queen, as it's called. And everyone knows the opening song, right? The hit, Keep Yourself Alive. Not Queen at their best, but I do like it. It's got an interesting riff to it. It's that classic riff, an iconic riff we all know. We instantly recognize it when we hear it, right? There's this bluesy playing from Brian May, that bluesy style. It's blues guitar, but with the Brian May touch. It's heavy and upbeat at the same time, the song is. And for this song, I like the music more than I like the lyrics. The lyrics, I wouldn't say they're a throwaway. I like the message, but overall, I like things a little bit more cerebral from Queen, and Queen can be quite cerebral at times. Again, you have that signature solo from Brian May. It's not just the riff that has a signature style. However, having said that, it's really Queen 2 where that signature style we know and love from the whole band and Brian May comes into its own. The next song is Doing All Right. I think this is an underrated gem, if you ask me. It's moody, it's a slow piece at first, yet it has a quiet resonance to that moody and slowness at first. And then, still while we're in that part of the song, there's a brief Sade-like moment, like a smooth, there's a bit, it's brief though, that sounds like Smooth Operator, and then it's fleeting and it's gone. And then at the 2-minute mark, it's more upbeat, and you get some nice tasty licks from May. And then it gets slow again, then upbeat, and then you get that a cappella part, and then the acoustic brief solo at the end, which is just fabulous. So I think this is a great song. Next is Great King Rat, so we're getting into more prog-like waters. This album is not full-blown progressive rock, but it has prog rock tendencies because of the subject matter. Here we're doing with fantasy. Again, Great King Rat is the song title. Fantasy-based lyrically, thematically. The open guitar is exceptional. It's fabulous. It's so different from anything else, I think, in the Queen catalog. You have some brief wah-wah pedal from May. Sounds a little bit like Mick Box, but it's fleeting, at least to my ears. Approaching the 4-minute mark, you have this brief acoustic bit, and then you have this galloping arrangements and vocals. Then you have some repetitive riffs that follow, which is a nice touch. Then you have the brief solo, which is nice, and the chorus and the drum solo that comes after all of that, I wish was a little bit longer. It would add, I think, more to the flavor and feel of the song. I wanted that to keep going, but I do like the song quite a bit. Next, we get more fantasy, My Fairy King. You have this boogie piano intro, and Freddie Mercury's wailing and screaming at the top of his lungs, soaring metal-like vocals, which is fabulous. It's not permeate the whole song, but it's in bits that I really like. And this foreshadows quite a bit that sound that you hear in the song Bohemian Rhapsody 5 albums later. The highlight of the song is Freddie Mercury's vocal prowess and his skills as a pianist, I think. The last fourth of the song, you get piano and May's accompanying guitar. That's like striving to win over who's gonna be the boss here. Is it gonna be the piano or the guitar? They're like striving for, the top of the mountain kind of thing. They're striving for who's gonna get the most attention. It's like who is the mightier. It's the denouement of the song. And you have that piano intro. I wish that piano outro was a little bit longer to add to the texture and flavor of the song. But again, what a great song. Next is The Fabulous Liar, my second favorite song on the album. Great bluesy style guitar opening, mini solo from Brian May. The riff gives way to sharing with percussive bits. So you have this riff that comes in after the bluesy style mini solo, and then, as I said, it seems to share, the guitar riff does, with some percussive knickknacks, if you will. The lyrics are fabulous. This is one of my favorite vocal performances from Freddie. It's light and shade vocally from Freddie, really showing his vocal range here, if you ask me, as usual. But there's something special here. More special, I should say. It's a wonderful, droney, bluesy, metallic solo from May. You have some more knick-knack percussion bits from Roger Taylor that accompany the vocals from Freddie. And then you have the second solo from May, which is just layered and textured. It's just fabulous. It's just gorgeous. Next is The Night Comes Down. Sounds like you have some acoustic bass at the beginning. I'm not sure. Or it's an odd tuning from May. It's a weird opening, but I like it. Then you get some normal acoustic tunings from May after that, soft vocals from Freddie with subtle percussion from Taylor, and nice soft bass from Deacon. The last minute, the song returns to the intro, so you come full circle. But with that you have a little difference. You have some distortion and feedback, and this song is an oddity in the catalog. Kind of like Mustafa on Jazz, but I don't like the song Mustafa. This is a good oddity here. And this song segues into the next song, as is to be expected on this, and especially the follow-up, Queen 2. And that segues into the song Modern Time Rock and Roll, or Modern Times Rock and Roll. You have some nice guitar from May at the beginning, fast-paced rocker with Taylor on vocals here, and Freddie in the background. Doing part of the chorus in the background, as I said. Now, you have this brief, but it's really cool, this all the way down the keys flourish from Freddie at one moment, and then you have some layered piano underneath that continues where that left off, and then you have the return of the vocals and percussion. It's just a nice song all around. Next is Son and Daughter. I think this is underrated. This is my favorite song on the album. I know a lot of people find this to be their favorite song, but also a lot of people I talk to like, yeah, it's okay. This is a heavy Queen song it's Queen heavy. It's Queen doing heavy. It's not, what you expect heavy to be. But if you're a Queen fan, you know what I'm talking about. This is, again, my favorite song on the album. May's guitar is heavy. As I said, it's a heavy song for Queen. Again, it's not what we expect heavy to be, but we know that Queen has a heavier song down the road in Sheer Heart Attack on News of the World. Perhaps they're homage to metal and punk, but it's not that heavy, but it is heavy in a sense, and I love it. I think it's a masterpiece. It's heavy glam, if you ask me, if that's a phrase or a subgenre. Next is the song Jesus. It's rife with biblical allusions, of course, as expected. Gospel opera, anyone? I like it. Guitar solo is one of May's best. It's a great deep cut, and the solo is divided in two parts. There's a heavy piece and then an even heavier piece after that. And this is one of those wow songs with respect to the guitar solo. And then after all that, the guitar solo stuff, you get chorus returns to end the song. Next, we get the half-baked version of Seven Seas of Rye, because going into the album, it was going into the recording sessions. This was written by Freddie and excuse me for a minute, and he decided to put it down on the album, or they decided to put it down even though it was unfinished. This is beautiful piano procession intro, and it's brief, of course, because I said it's unfinished. There's some wonderful bass from Deacon as well. As I said, it's unfinished, and it was supposed to be used as the outro to the album, and it is, but it was also meant to set up the next album, where the full version was going to be at the beginning of Queen 2, but of course the full version is at the end of Queen 2, so that fell apart. They decided not to do that, and so often I will rearrange the tracks and play the full version of Queen's Seven Seas of Rhye when I play these two albums back to back, to fulfill that wish that Freddie and the band perhaps wanted at one time. So it works. These two albums work so well as pairs, and so I had to include it in today's video. And then tomorrow we'll be back to the episode I had originally planned. So Seven Seas of Rhye, just great piano, and again, too bad it's unfinished, but we do get the finished version on the next album. So Queen 2, the iconic album cover you get from the video for Bohemian Rhapsody, right? And I was talking with a friend of mine, and she said the other day that Freddie Mercury's pose here was inspired by a photograph of Marlene Dietrich, the actress, 40s, not sure 40s or 50s. I forget the motion picture, but anyway, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know how true that is. So the song opens up with the short and sweet procession, and that's exactly what it is. It's setting up the tale. It's a prologue. You have this heartbeat percussion. You have this heartbeat sound that comes from Roger Taylor's percussion. It's very soft. And it's, of course, a royalty sounding procession landscape, if you will, which segs into the song Father to Son. But before I get to that, as I said before, this is the album where we're really starting to get that signature sound from Queen that we know and expect and love from the band. And of course, we have hints of it on the first album. This is not a true concept album, but there are hints of it thematically, but not story-wise. A little bit. You have that chess feel to it, because instead of side A or side B when it was on vinyl, it was side white and side black. And that's reference to the song title, a couple of the song titles as well. So Father to Son, it's a light and shade song, great guitar hooks, everything about the guitar here is phenomenal. The solo here is dynamite. And it's also an emotive song, lyrically, musically. May's signature sound really comes in here near the end. This is where we're starting to get that iconic, unique tone from Brian May, and no one can imitate that, right? Or no one has tried, perhaps. All right, thank goodness. Next is Someday, One Day. Moody guitar from May, another emotive song, so two back-to-back, soft vocals, soft drums, acoustic guitar. It sends you in a dreamy state, because the song is a dreamy state of mind. I love it. It's a plant yourself type song, right? Next is, I like it, The Loser in the End, Roger Taylor vocals here. Song doesn't really go anywhere until about the 2-minute mark. That's where I really start to like the song. Brief kick-ass guitar, but it's so fleeting though. Shame, wish there was more of that. But it does return, so you're getting these little minute tastes of May's guitar prowess, and then it goes away, and then it comes back, and but I like it. It's more about the vocals and drums, the song is. What bits of guitar, right? Finally, though, you get more guitar at the last minute of the song or so. That's subtle yet blistering. It's so great, and then it fades out. It's just great song, especially that last bit. Next is the phenomenal Ogre Battle, More Fantasy type songs here. This begins the black side if you had it on vinyl. Again, not side B, side black. You have this, it opens with this backwards Robert Fripp style, Hendrix style guitar tape loop thing going on, where you record something and then play it backwards, that kind of thing going on. And anyway, and then you get this kick-ass riff. This is heavy Queen again for Queen. Not Sheer Heart Attack, but heavy for Queen. You have these great screams from Freddie Mercury late in the song, the high-pitched register, just love it. quasi-metal, if you will, the closing riff, then scream, then a gong, and then the segue part into the next song. So the first gong of the band, which of course foreshadowing Bohemian Rhapsody and some other songs of this. Well, when we think of gong, we think of Bohemian Rhapsody because that's how that song ends, and then Tie Your Mother Down begins with a gong. So here's the first time we hear Queen having a song that ends with a gong or nearly ends with a gong, and then you get that soundscape, as I said, that introduces the next song, the Fairy Feller's Masterstroke, which I think is based, don't quote me on this, on a medieval painting. The whole song has a medieval feel lyrically and arrangement-wise overall. It's quirky with fast piano. You have some harpsichord, I believe, here in the background, or a child's piano. That really clingy, that really tinny sound from a child's piano maybe. And it closes with more beautiful piano, and that also segues into the next song. This song was okay. It's not my favorite. I really have to be in the mood for it. I do like it, but I just have to be. The next song I like even more, Nevermore. You have a reference to Lilies of the Valley, which of course is a song on their third album. It's a brief song, but I really love this piece. I wish it was longer. The next is the March of the Black Queen. Great piano intro. High register from Freddie at times. That right? Then you get the softer registers as well. Signature guitar tone from May. Ping-ponging between channels. If not, there's a ping-ponging between... It's the imitation of the ping-ponging between channels with respect to vocals and other parts of the arrangements in the song. It's hard to pin down. You get some great heavy guitar, some great piano, the great delivery from Freddie Mercury. And then you get this weird shift at the 4-minute and 40-second mark because Roger Taylor sings for a brief moment. So Freddie's going along and he's singing, and then Roger Taylor chimes in as if to answer to what Freddie has to say vocally. It kind of reminds me for an instant of The Magician's Birthday by Uriah Heep, where David Byron's taking on the good guy and the bad guy, and he's responding in kind to what the good guy has to say and vice versa. But there isn't enough, so Roger Taylor comes in and he's gone, you never hear him again. It's like, oh man, I wanted more of that. That would have made the song even more rich, excuse me. But it's still great. I just wanted more of it. So anyway, Roger Taylor comes in for a brief moment as if in response to what Freddie has to say. It's like a drama on the stage, if you will. And then it ends with a big piano and guitar outros. It's fabulous. And then you have these short, Funny How Love Is. I think it's about 3 minutes and change. Fast-paced a fast-paced song. Great harmonies here. The chorus is phenomenal. It's repetitive though, and you have that classic wall of sound here. And most of the song, if not all of it, Freddie is singing in that high register, which is very difficult to do for, a very extended period of time, but he does it beautifully. I don't think they ever played it live because of that, because it's so demanding. I don't quote me on that. I think there was something else I wanted to say about this album as a whole. Yeah, what's great about this album, before I get to the last song or two, you have plenty of layering, you have great harmonies, melodies here, and you have just a big palette that the band works with on most of these songs, if not all of them. They're just choosing, they decided, like so many other bands when they like to do it, they decide, let's go all out, all cards in, and just have such great arrangements and styles and instruments and techniques and genres to pick from. And it works so great on these two albums. That's why also they're great pairs, if you will. Yeah. So the last song, Seven Seas of Rhye, the full version. Piano intro, just like the previous. Okay, but you have this heavy guitar that comes in. Fast-paced song vocals. The solo here is Dynamite by May, with echo and reverb at the 1-minute 43-second mark. For a brief moment, just a brief moment to my ears, Freddie Mercury sounds like Brian Connolly of Sweet. So you get a big dab of glam for a minute. It's great. And it ends with a cool Freddie Mercury vocals with other voices accompanying him. Children, maybe, maybe not. Any adult voices, I don't know, but it's a great way to end the song. And it's a fabulous way to end the album. So there you have it, everybody. My love of these two albums. Have a great day, everybody. Take care now. Bye bye.